Welcome to Freedom Motivated with Christina Whiteley, the podcast that empowers you to live life on your terms. Are you uninspired, bored, and unhappy with where life has taken you? And yearning for a life filled with purpose and passion? Look no further. We are here to ignite that fire within, to awaken your true potential, and to guide you on a journey towards absolute freedom. Join us as we delve into the minds of incredible entrepreneurs and freedom leaders from very different backgrounds with incredible stories. Be inspired by their resilience and learn from their challenges they faced along the path to success. These are the brave individuals who fight every day to awaken people to the power of self-responsibility and who inspire them to create a life they are absolutely in love with. Each episode will explore the concept of conscious income creation, building a business or creating a career that aligns with your unique skill set, purpose, values, and belief system. Discover the strategies, tips, and invaluable insights shared by our guests as they guide you towards making a living doing what you love. It's time to break free from the shackles of conformity and embrace the freedom that awaits. Are you ready to take control of your life? Are you ready to step into the life you've always dreamed of? Then welcome to Freedom Motivated, the podcast that will ignite your spirit and unleash your potential. All right. I am so excited to be here with Miss Mandy Eskelin today. I've learned a lot over the last few years about health. I mean, for 10 years, Ryan and I have been putting our health first through allergies and just through fitness and all of those things, because I think a healthy mind starts with a healthy body, and that's been proven by science more and more. And so today I'm really excited to have my business partner, Mandy Eskelin, here. She is a gut health specialist. She has a certification in holistic nutrition. She is one of the smartest women when it comes to health that I have ever met. Not only is she gorgeous on the inside, she's gorgeous on the outside. She is very, very bright. And I'm excited for her to share her story with you guys today, because whenever I look at people that are insanely fit, I know that starts with the food that they eat. I also know that they are very strategic in the movements that they have and what they fuel their body with. But I really want you to hear her story, because when I saw a picture of her in a fitness competition, and she'll share a little bit about that, I look at women like that and I'm like, wow, like that is just so impressive. But there's so much that goes into that and behind the scenes. And I think that having a really great understanding of our all over health and our gut health and how that contributes to our daily life is probably one of the most important things that'll help you thrive in this lifetime. So without further ado, Miss Mandy White Eskelin, would you please introduce yourself and share your story with my audience today?
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Christina. It's my honor to be here with you. I've been waiting and anticipating a live conversation with you about this, because I know we talk so much on the back end, but I truly love educating people, because gosh, what I didn't know 12 years ago when I started this journey, and what I've learned and coached tens of thousands of people over the last 12 years on, I've learned so much more, and I keep learning, and there's so much out there that people get confused. Well, I heard this and I heard this, and you should do this and you shouldn't do that. And, I like to simplify it for people. And I started my journey, believe it or not, right around the time when I had my second child. So I know you just had yours, and he's, gosh, almost 2.5 months already, which I don't even understand how that happened. And you look phenomenal. So thanks for having me here. And I did, when I had both of my kids, by the way, I had both of mine via C-section. And people were like, you're never going to get your stomach back. You're never going to get your body back. And I started to believe it, and I felt so terrible about myself. And I doubted myself. But I remember this one day, maybe whether you've had kids or not, you go into your closet and nothing seems to fit, and you're like mad and crying and just saying everything that you probably shouldn't be saying about yourself. But I remember this day after having my son. He was about, I don't know, maybe 6-8 months old. And I remember sitting on this pile of clothes in my closet, just crying my eyes out, because I'm like, nothing fit. I hated how I looked. I hated how I felt. And I just was like, I got to do something different. Well, at that time, my son is 16. So the journey actually started when he was like 15 years old. But what happened next was I made a decision to do something, but it wasn't the healthy way to do it, right? It was not the healthy way. I went and I starved myself. I hardly ate. I tried every diet on the planet. This was 15 years ago. But at the same time, I I did lose the weight. I actually lost about 30 pounds. And I lost about 30 pounds, somewhere between 28 and 30 pounds that I actually lost. And it wasn't in a very healthy way. But that started my journey into feeling more confident about myself. And then I decided to do a fitness competition. Craziest thing in the world that I thought, like after having two kids and losing all this weight, that I could do a fitness competition. Well, I did one. And I actually won my WBFF Fitness Pro card, the first WBFF show that I ever did. And it was a shock to me. But what happened was I had developed a very bad relationship with food. I really did. Like, I was like, carbs were bad. And I didn't have a healthy relationship with myself, and how I looked, because I was so wanting to look so good for the stage, but I wasn't taking care of my health. And by doing those really strict diets for years, whether I had coaches, did it myself, all of it, years of those restrictive diets, it led me to metabolic issues, hormonal imbalances. I didn't have my period for almost a year, being that I was 9% body fat. It wasn't healthy. Is it attainable? Yes. But I had metabolic issues, hormonal imbalances. I had food sensitivities to things I ate on a daily basis: gluten, eggs, chicken, dairy. Couldn't have any of it. And I looked like I was 6 months pregnant again. And doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I was even having depression. And 12 years ago, I had no clue that depression started from my gut. So I'm thinking this whole time, something's wrong with me, something's wrong with me, something's wrong with me. And doctors couldn't figure it out. So I decided about 11 years ago to go to holistic nutrition school. I wanted to first learn how to heal my body and then help other people do the same. But what I realized and I learned was about the gut bringing the second brain. Now, this was 10, 11 years ago. And now it's finally coming into the forefront of everything, with the gut being that second brain. It literally controls our mood. It controls our brain function. It controls our cravings. It controls our stress level. It controls our immune system, our hormones. There's so much in our gut that it controls our happiness, our level of happiness and sadness. And so I love that we're partners on this, but this is why I became so passionate about helping people in this space, is because I know that once I can help people heal their gut, it will literally change their life. And I was able to heal my gut. I was able to, now I can eat all of those foods. I have no problems with it. But it took me going to holistic nutrition school. It took me trying all the things that my professors told me in order to learn how to heal my gut. And then that's when I'm like, okay, if I can feel this good and change my life with my own gut health, I need to help other people. And that's when I realized that this was part of my purpose being here. I didn't know it, but that was a necessary piece to my story where I found my purpose and I discovered it. And then I get to be here and share this information and answer any questions that you have.
I think this is such an important conversation to have, and that is so relatable. We've all had that closet moment. I definitely have had that closet moment where I was standing in the middle of my closet, tears streaming down my face. The only thing that actually fit me was Lululemon stretchy pants, right? And I was like, nothing fits. And my husband, I was going to the gym 7 days a week. Like, I was going to hot yoga. I was doing everything I was supposed to do. And all of a sudden, nothing was working. And it was so frustrating to me. And then you start to lose hope a little bit. You're like, is this ever going to change? Am I ever going to feel like myself again? I was very lucky to have a conversation previous to this live video. And you're like, hey, these are the things that you should be doing while you're breastfeeding. These are the things that you should be eating. You should probably be eating more than you're eating. But we always err on the side of caution because we think less food, less fat, right? Like less food, less weight. And at some point in time, I think we all get to this place like you did, that you were so frustrated with your gut health that you took your health into your own hands and decided to educate yourself. And so can you share a little bit about what you've learned about your gut health contributing to your all over health?
Yes, absolutely. And I want to touch on the fact that you just had a baby 2.5 months ago. It's phenomenal. It really is. And I want to take a caveat from that, and then I will answer that question, because you're nursing that beautiful, precious little baby. You're nursing him about every 2 to 3 hours, correct? Right. Babies are born and they usually eat somewhere around every 2 to 3 hours. That is how our bodies were born to process proteins, fats, and carbs. Mother's perfect milk, right? Or formula, it's still balanced in protein, fats, and carbs. But somewhere along the way, somewhere when we see our moms going on these diets while we're growing up, and then as teenagers, we want to fit in and we want to look good and we want to be little, then we decide, I'm not going to eat that food, or I'm not going to eat till this time, and I'm going to starve myself, and I'm going to do this. Then we create a relationship with food based on deprivation. So we change how we know our bodies work, protein, fats, and carbs, every like 3 hours or so to balance blood sugar. But we decide somewhere along the way that, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this diet and this diet and this diet because we want to fit in, peer pressure. We see our parents do it. We see our friends do it. But really and truly, our bodies are meant to process protein, fats, and carbs in balance every 3 to 4 hours so that we can stabilize blood sugar. When our blood sugar is stable, we have no cravings. We have zero cravings. When our blood sugar is not stable, is if it's low, we're craving to get it high. If it's high, we're craving more of that because it's like a drug. But what happens when we stabilize our blood sugar, like feeding that little baby Isaac every 2 to 3 hours, obviously as they get older, we space it out a little bit more. But eating like that is what our bodies are designed to do. But we decide at some point that no, deprivation is better. A diet is better. And I used to diet so much that I had to learn to remove that word out of my vocabulary, because a diet is based in deprivation versus when you learn how to feed your body and heal your gut at the same time, you want to make sure that you're eating a nutritious, whole food, well-balanced meal versus a diet. And when we give our body everything that it needs, here's what's beautiful. Our body goes, okay, I don't need this extra fat. I'm not stressed anymore. She's feeding me. I don't need to store more of that as fat. But we decide on our own that that's how it should be, where really and truly it's not. And our body is craving more of that. And by starving ourselves, which again, I did, this is part of my story. I starved myself for so many years that when I did that, now, I mean, even when you're doing that, people watching, when you're starving yourself, here's what you're doing to your body. Your body internally goes, she's not feeding me. Oh, I'm going to get her. And now everything that you eat gets stored as fat because your cortisol levels, your stress hormones are higher. And now your body is releasing more insulin into, or blood sugar, sorry, your blood sugar goes higher and now it's storing a lot more fat, right? So when your cortisol and your stress levels are high from not feeding it enough, it's going to produce and store more fat. And that's not what we want to do, right? So the more that we give our body, that's where our body goes, okay, she's feeding me. I don't need to store this fat anymore. Let me let go of it. Let me keep the muscle and let me let go of the fat. So we are asking about like the gut health. The gut is so spectacular. I love this part. When we were an embryo, not even a fetus, okay, when we were an embryo, our gut and our brain were connected. Okay. And as we grew into this fetus, it started to separate. However, it stayed connected through what's called the vagus nerve. It's the second largest nerve in the entire body next to the spinal cord. So it's a two-way communication between your brain and your gut on a daily basis. It's a two-way highway. Let me do it like that. It's a two-way highway, right? So when we're not taking care of our gut, what happens is it's communicating something else to our brain that we don't want. First of all, brain fog. Second of all, lack of motivation. Third of all, not feeling happy because 90% of our serotonin, which is our happy neurotransmitters, is produced in our gut, 90%. So if your gut is not producing that serotonin, you may not feel happy, which is why I felt depressed back then. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And I did not want to take a medication. I was absolutely violently opposed to taking a medication for depression. I needed to figure out, how can I fix this? How can I fix my body? And knowing that 90% of the serotonin, those happy neurotransmitters, is produced in our gut. 70% of our dopamine, which is what makes you want to get up and get off the couch and get motivated and stop watching Netflix and go to the gym and go for a walk and go to work. That's your motivation. Dopamine is produced in your gut. 70% is produced in your gut. So if you're not feeling motivated, guess what? We got to go to your gut and help your dopamine production so that you can actually feel more motivated. And then it's going to start talking to your brain. And now your brain's going to be like, oh, wow, okay, I'm hearing the happy signals now. Because again, it's a two-way highway. And if there's a crash in that, a break in that link, that's when people, their gut, we first go to the gut to heal that. And then we work on the syncing of these two. We want to sync them so they're communicating again. But even brain fog, anyone ever have brain fog? That all comes from your gut, not your brain. I know that sounds like the craziest thing. Like 10, 11 years ago when I learned this, I'm like, wait, what? No, that's in my brain. I feel the brain fog. But my professor was like, no, it's coming from your gut. So when you learn how to heal your gut and your gut can start producing that serotonin and dopamine, now also it regulates your cortisol, which is that stress hormone. Now you're not stressed so much anymore. Now when you eat properly, protein, fats, and carbs, now your body can process it, digest it, and you can absorb those nutrients again. And then your cravings are like, I'm not craving something sweet. I'm not craving that junk food anymore because all of your gut microbiome diversity is balanced. Your cortisol levels are regulated. And then your brain and your gut are talking to each other. And then that's literally how it changes your life by healing your gut.
This is so interesting to me because we were just speaking before, right? And you said you had sensitivities to gluten and to chicken and to eggs. I had definitely had sensitivity to eggs. But you start to realize that it is your gut that is creating these issues. It's not that you actually have those. Once I did my genetics, I thought for years that I was celiac. I did my genetics. I don't have the celiac markers. I just had really, really bad gut health. And so how many people wake up every day and don't feel great, or they eat something and don't feel great, or they drink a cup of coffee and they're like, oh, I have gut rot. Like, how many times have you said I have gut rot, or I've got indigestion, or I'm feeling bloated? And when we've got all of those things in balance, including our cortisol, then all of a sudden you don't have those issues. Your body regulates its weight, and you also have better mood, better immune system. Like, can you talk a little bit about how that cortisol affects our guts? Because that's really like what we're bringing people together on. Like, Mandy and I are working on the biggest mental wellness project that is launching in Canada, the US, Mexico. We're actually launching globally this year. It's like a really exciting time to be a part of this project. But what most people don't realize is that it's not just another one of those things. Like, this is specifically formulated for mental wellness and to help people regulate their cortisol, something that most people don't talk about. You're starting to see it more on the internet. It's starting to be kind of like a hot topic, but it's because the science is coming through that our gut health actually regulates our whole body. And so if we can get that right, and we have products or supplements or food that fuels our body correctly, then all of a sudden everything else works properly and you don't have to worry about it. Is that correct?
It really does. And that's what's so beautiful about this is when we can get our gut with mental wellness specific strains. Okay. There's a very big thing about there's overall gut health, which I highly recommend people having the right kind of prebiotics, probiotics, right? We need that because of our food being overprocessed, because of soil depletion, because of pollution, because all there's a lot that our bodies don't get, right? And then it throws off the diversity in there. So we definitely need, and by the way, let me add medications. Medication totally kills your gut microbiome and that diversity in there. So if you've taken antibiotics, you've got to make sure that you're taking a probiotic, right? Antibiotic, probiotic, get it? This one's going to add back in the good gut bacteria that the antibiotics killed, even though that wasn't designed to do that. It was designed to kill whatever other illness, but it throws off our diversity in our gut. And then there's a thing called mental wellness specific strains. Now, what I mean by that is it's not like here's 5 million strains of probiotics, poof, now it's going to heal everything and you're going to feel amazing. It's going to help a little bit, but it's almost like shooting a shotgun at a tiny target. You're going to splatter them everywhere and you don't know what actually hit. Versus having mental wellness specific strains. There are 3 very specific strains that we figured out that actually help the gut produce serotonin. So 3, not 3 million, not 5 million, not 50 million. 3 very specific strains that helps the gut produce that serotonin to make you feel happier. We need that. And because of all of the soil pollution and processed foods and all that, our gut is not producing that. Same thing with dopamine. We have 3 very specific strains that support our gut in producing more dopamine. And that's what happens is now when you've got these little happy guys in your gut producing this, it's signaling to your brain, you're happier, you're more motivated, you're less stressed. Now your cortisol levels start to come down and your body will start to let go of that fat, that excess fat that it keeps. Because listen, we all have stress. I'm sorry. You see your two fingers right here, you put them right there. Okay, I feel a pulse. Okay, then I have stress. You do too. If you don't feel a pulse, then you might need a hug. But everybody has stress. I mean, we have stress in every single form, whether it's external or even internal. And if we have stress, that is what our cortisol levels have to do with, right? So if we have stress, which we do, our cortisol levels are probably dysregulated unless you're drinking something that has a very specific purpose to help your cortisol levels regulate. But we can talk about that later. The real issue here is knowing that when you're eating some unhealthy things, it's going to throw off that serotonin and dopamine production. Then you're going to crave more of that bad stuff. So now your gut is really not producing those feel good neurotransmitters, those things that are communicating to your brain going, I feel happy today. I don't feel stressed. But we got to support our gut, not only in eating properly, but there's also some specific things that you can do to heal the gut lining. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. It's called collagen. Now, I know collagen's been a big buzzword for, I don't know, 6, 7 years. I mean, ladies, look, we all want it. We think we need it for our face, right? To look beautiful. I'm not going down without a fight with this aging process. But more importantly than that is I need the right type of collagen, and so do you. That's actually going to help heal your gut lining. So let's talk about collagen for a minute, Christina, if that's okay with you, because I think people they collagen, but do you really understand the type that you're having and what the benefits of those types are? So type 1, it's great for your hair, skin, and nails, okay? Usually sourced from marine collagen. Then there's type 2, which is good for joints. That one's usually sourced from chicken. And then there's type 3, which is bovine, okay? Type 3 collagen is, this one helps with actually healing the gut lining. So this is the only one that actually helps heal that leaky gut, that inflammation in your gut. It's going to heal the gut lining, okay? It also helps with joints, ligaments, tendons, bones. Now, get this, we need type 1 and type 3 that comes from an external source in order for our body to produce the other 25 types of collagen, okay? Our body can produce collagen, but we need type 1 and type 3 in order for our body to produce the other 25 types of collagen that we need. So it's important to have them, but type 3, this is the one I learned about, oh my gosh, in holistic nutrition school that blew my mind. Now, back then, there wasn't a supplement for it. So I had to go to the butcher at the grocery store and get these big beef bone broth that had the marrow in it. I know that sounds gross. And I would make my own beef broth. And I had mason jars. I used to stack them in a triangle, post them on social media. I mean, like, I was like talking about collagen 10 years ago and why we need this specific type, because it was the only way that I could get that type of collagen to heal my gut lining. That's when I started to understand collagen and gut health and the importance, because I went through it. And let me tell you today, I will pass on bone broth at any point because I drank enough of it to make myself sick forever.
I bet.
But it makes a big difference. But now there's obviously, companies out there that have the right type of collagen. And that's why I just did that little education between type 1, 2, and 3, because it's important to know why we need that type 3 to heal that gut lining. Because now when we can heal the gut lining, now our body can digest food. It can start on its own also producing the serotonin and the dopamine, regulate our immune system. It can also, absorb nutrients, everything. So that's the difference in those types of collagen and why our gut is literally everything. Because when that is working, it changes everything. And trust me, people are grateful. Like, I'm so glad whatever you're doing, it's working because you're just different. And that's all from right here. I know that sounds crazy.
No, it doesn't. And thank you for educating. Like, thank you for taking the time to educate, because I previously worked with another collagen company, and we had collagen for joints. We had collagen for immunity. We had collagen for skin. We had collagen for sports performance, right? We had all these collagens, but it was derived specifically from chicken, which is great for your joints, but not necessarily for your gut health. And what's really interesting to me is now that I've been taking type 1 and type 3 and been taking that for a couple of months now, like, I noticed my digestion digestion. Like I don't have as many digestion issues anymore. Like it actually is healing. And I think the statistic is something like 80% of the population has leaky gut, has to heal their gut from
Yeah.
crappy foods, from, like you said, we don't get enough nutrition. We're constantly detoxing because of the stuff that we put on our skin or the stuff that we're eating, the pesticides, all that kind of stuff. So what I did hear you say is like eating those bad foods, like I would imagine potato chips, is contributing to not only my gut health, but it's also contributing to my mood because I'm destroying all of the gut biome that is actually producing that serotonin and dopamine. So my crappy food habits might be also contributing to my mood and how I show up and my focus, which I find really, really fascinating. So I like that you broke it all down. And by the way, you guys, I just need to mention this, and I hope that I don't embarrass you, but Mandy's 49 years old and she looks like she's 32. So if I'm going to take any sort of health advice from somebody, it's going to be from somebody that looks like her, that has the education that she has, right? And that is aging so beautifully. I'm like, I want to be you when I grow up. Like look amazing because you take care of yourself and you understand it's the food that you eat and it's the supplements that you take that fuel that. And we talk about supplements and people are like, do I really need it? I'm just going to eat healthy, right? I'm just going to eat healthy. But there's also a lack of nutrition that we're not getting from our foods. Do you want to talk a little bit about that as well?
Yes, and thank you for the compliments. Like I said, I'm not going down without a fight. And it's not that I don't have those unhealthy foods. I mean, I do occasionally, but I limit it because I can notice, like I'm so in tune with my gut and my body that I notice when I have something like that, if right away I feel like I just put a brick in my stomach, and
Yeah.
then hours later I feel like lethargic and I can't think straight and I don't have energy. I can feel it immediately. Now that doesn't mean that I don't have it occasionally. I still do, but I'm making sure that I'm still having 5 to 6 small meals. Okay. Yes, I know that might sound crazy, but 5 to 6 small meals a day that are balanced protein, fats, and carbs. And sometimes at night, I'll go get one of those little Greek yogurts that has like 20 grams of protein. I'll put some little nuts on there. And then that's my snack before I go to bed every single night. So I'm still getting the protein, the healthy fats, and it's got a little bit of carb in it, but I'm still making sure that I'm giving my body what it actually needs because that's the key. Now, the other side of this is we know, let's talk about GMO foods, by the way, pesticides, herbicides, that destroys our gut lining as well. But we're eating food and I think it's funny and it's okay. People are so like organic, organic. Yes, you should. But let's talk about this. Organic might still have some overspray that came over from somewhere else, but there's still produce that's picked before it's ripe. Okay. It's picked when it's still green, and either it's sprayed a chemical that forces it to have its color, or it ripens on the way to the grocery store, but it doesn't mean that the soil that it grew up in has the right kind of micronutrients that that produce needs, right? It's missing because of our soil overturning. So now we're eating something, it's organic, but it might not have, and most likely, just so you know, it does not have all of those important vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and antioxidants that our bodies need. So now we're eating things that, okay, I think I'm eating good, but it's still missing because of where that grew up. And then that's where we have to learn how to fill in the nutritional gaps. We have to give our body those right type of liquid micronutrients that we can't get from our food alone. I mean, it's really and truly, that's a big thing. People think, oh, I don't need to supplement. If you took a bag of spinach, organic spinach today, okay, all right, let me rewind that. If you took a bag of organic spinach from, let's say, 1980, okay, you would have to eat about 12 bags of spinach today to equate the one bag of spinach from 1980 because it's lacking so much in the soil department. I don't know about you, but I don't have time to eat that much. I mean, I'm a busy entrepreneur and mom. I don't have time. Nobody does. But when you got to think about, wow, do I really want to keep eating more and more and more, but I'm still missing a lot of those things, or have the right type of supplement that's going to fill in the nutritional gap of what you're not able to get. For me, I take an all natural, organic, and wild source supplement that's going to fill in the gap for me than sitting down and eating 12 bags of spinach. Same thing with an apple. I think if you ate an apple from like 1980, you'd have to have 8 apples today. Well, we don't need all that sugar and definitely don't need all of that. but why not fill in the gap? And sometimes that's easier to do. And as far as being convenient, it's definitely more convenient than someone that doesn't want to eat all the time. Like, I mean, I eat enough, but I don't want to be eating like 8 apples and 12 bags of spinach and, that sort of thing. That's just too much. I mean, who has time for that today?
Who has time and who can afford that with grocery prices? Like, let's
Oh,
be real for a second, okay?
sure.
Because you want to be able to eat healthy, but not necessarily can't sometimes. And so let's talk about we've talked about the problem for long enough, and we've talked about how to be healthy. But what's the solution? When we talk about, I would love for you, because you are so educated in this area, I'd love for you to talk about the triangle of health and the happy juice and the HL5. Those are things that that's what I make sure that I take every single day to make sure that I get the nutrition I need. Also, I'm in a lot better mood. Okay. So it's starting to take those things. But like, here's the solution. So can you tell them a little bit about those three? Well, actually, there's more than three products, but how they're bundled and why we use them.
Yes, and I'll go with Triangle of Health first because I was just talking about those important micronutrients, right? So we have something, and this is one of the reasons that I joined this company 4.5 years ago, because I wanted to align myself so that I could give my clients, right, my coaching clients, my personal training clients, how can I help them get what they need without taking a tablet? So I don't know if you know this or not, but if you take like a tablet, like I look at these horse pill hard tablets that get stuck in your throat, your body is only absorbing about 10, 20 maximum, 10 to 15% is on average, right? Of what's in there. So you can look at the back of that jar and go, well, I'm getting all of this. No, actually, you're only getting about 10 to 15% of all of that, right? And then there's certain times, I know this is another cool thing that I didn't know years and years ago, but our body process water soluble and carbs better during the earlier part of the day and wants fats and healthy fats and omega-3s in the later part of the day. So it's really important to know that your body is meant to do more water soluble during the morning and the earlier day and more healthy fats and stuff later in the day. But the reason I say that is because when we're talking about the triangle of health, we have our water soluble superfoods called Sunrise that you take in the morning. Rip and Sip pouch. I'm sure Izzy's having it. It counts for 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, and it tastes like blueberry juice, and it's in this little pouch. But that liquid pouch, you're absorbing 90% of what is in that little pouch versus 10 to 15% of something that's in a tablet. And so then you've got your superfoods at night, your vitamins A, D, and E, which we need, right? Our omega-3s. That's when you want to have that at night. So while you're sleeping, those are the special antioxidants and anti-inflammatory vitamins and stuff that we need while we're sleeping so our body can go into that rest and repair mode. And then we have the one in the middle that helps us increase circulation, because we can survive 5 minutes without oxygen, but we cannot survive more than 5 seconds without nitric oxide. It's what holds open our arteries so our heart can pump blood, oxygen, and nutrients to our cells and carry out those toxins, right? But what happens, unfortunately, I'm sure most of us here are over the age of 20, your nitric oxide levels are beginning to decline. And if you're over the age of 40, it's really common now to have high blood pressure. Now, what that means is our nitric oxide levels have declined. Now your arteries start to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Hence, your heart's working harder to pump that blood, and that's where the high blood pressure comes in. So we have something that supports our body's production of that nitric oxide to open back up those blood vessels, not like beet juice or other things or synthetic, nothing synthetic, by the way. But the reason I'm saying that is because everything that we do is designed to support our body's production versus overriding our body's production. So we want to increase the circulation, give our body all of these liquid nutrients and everything so that your body can fill in those nutritional gaps. Then now you're talking that liquid collagen, which I love because it's type 1 and type 3. This product right here, no kidding, 4.5 years ago when I saw this product, I couldn't even contain myself because I knew that meant that I didn't have to drink bone broth anymore. I knew that. I was like, hallelujah. And it either tastes like peach, like the peach ring candies, or it tastes like berry lemonade. I was so happy and ecstatic not to have to drink bone broth anymore. But just a little Rip and Sip pouch having 5 grams of that type 3 collagen to heal the gut lining and then to help my hair, skin, and nails, you say that's probably one of the reasons that I look younger than I usually do, or should, right, for my age. But honestly, because of having those right types of collagen, it makes a difference for the gut and then for hair, skin, and nails. And then last but not least, we're talking about gut health. We're talking about the serotonin, the dopamine production, and how to help us feel better here starts down here. And with those mental wellness specific strains that I was talking about, we have something, and maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you know of it, is called happy juice, and maybe you've seen it around. But the reason that I talk about this specifically is because it's patented, by the way. It's a patented formula. We have patented ingredients. People can't go and knock us off, although they're trying, and it's okay. Because wait, isn't that like imitation is the highest form of flattery? But we know with what our doctors have done, they've patented these mental wellness specific strains. So when you're drinking this, it's not like there's no appetite suppressant in there. There's no I don't know, it's just not a magic pill, but I can promise you that it feels so different for people. Usually, some people feel it the first day, others, it takes maybe a couple of days because it's producing that serotonin. It's supporting your body's production of that serotonin and dopamine, which people are like, wow, I don't feel as stressed. I didn't snap at my kids. I'm a more patient wife. Wow, I'm more focused and productive at work. I can get things done. That's when you're like, whoa, this feels really different. And knowing that, yes, when you drink the juice, you actually feel better, but it's because we're helping that gut produce it and then communicate to our brain, that two-way highway, about how you feel, less cravings. And what's beautiful, this is not a weight loss product, but people are losing weight. And the reason they are is because their cortisol levels are coming down and regulating itself. And then the body is like, okay, I feel good. I'm not craving anything. I have everything I need. And then literally the body just starts letting go of that pissed off fat that it's been holding on to. So that kind of, I hope that answers some of the questions, but it's not just about like a nootropic. This is about the gut and helping the gut and the body do what it's meant to do, because we have so many other things that are throwing it off, and we just get to support our own body.
This is so helpful to me, and I'll be straight with you. I had a baby 10 weeks ago. I had 6 weeks of family visiting. 6 weeks, right? And in that time, right, I actually enjoyed it. And I also found I didn't, get irritated. I didn't have anxiety. I was just like, man, like it was like riding this wave of peace. That's the only way that I can describe it, because I don't have that same irritation. And my nanny was even saying, she's like, you're not as high strung. You're way more calm. You have way more patience. Like I've noticed that you don't snap at little things anymore. And I noticed that in myself. Not only that, but like with my husband, he's like, this stuff actually works, Christina. Like I don't feel that, like you get this feeling at 4 o'clock in the middle of the day and you're like, oh my God, it's just too much. Like there's too many things going on. We don't have that anymore. And I will tell you, you mentioned is Izzy's drinking, she drinks the sunrise all the time. She asks for it. And so for parents out there that like our kids go through stages, and like I try and feed her healthy things and balanced meals and all of these things, but some days she's like, no, I'm just not going to do it. But she'll ask for these sunrise pouches. So at least I know she's getting the nutrition that she needs, or part of the nutrition that she needs. And what you spoke about is really important, right? We're here to heal things, not band-aid a problem.
Yeah.
And so often, that's what pharmaceuticals are used for, to band-aid a problem. Or we drink a cup of coffee because we need that caffeine stimulant, right? And then it's overstimulating, and then people get jittery and anxious because they've overstimulated with caffeine, right? And so when we actually look at the root of the problem and provide a solution for that, everything changes. And not only like but what I mean by everything is like not just your mood, but your all over health, your weight, your emotions, your immune system. All of these things are supported by these systems. And again, like I'm so grateful for the lessons that I've been learning, and like for having people like you in my life. They're like, hey, these are the reasons why. This is why all these things are adding up, and this is what you need to do so that you take care of yourself. Because like I said, 80% of people have leaky gut, and this is a really great way to stop beating yourself up about being in a mood, or stop beating yourself up about the stress and anxiety. Like so many people use anxiety. I have an anxiety, I can't go to that. I have anxiety, I couldn't get it done today. right? They use that as the excuse. But what if you knew that there was a solution to that that would stop it at its root cause and that you wouldn't have to walk through life with anxiety anymore? Would you be willing to try something new? And I think so many of us get caught up in this is how life is. This is just how I feel on a daily basis instead of doing something to improve it. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your expertise today, Mandy. I appreciate you and everything that you do. You're such an amazing human. Is there anything you want to leave people with? Is there anything that we forgot to speak about?
No, other than you just mentioned something about like how people are feeling. Yes, you might think it's in your head, but it's not your fault. Now, can you make better choices? Yes. Can you try things that are going to support, but not falling victim to this just is what it is and this is just the way that I feel and just it and shutting yourself off, because you do have that power of choice. You do have that discernment where you're like, you know what? Something is not right and maybe it's not in my head. Maybe it's not something I'm doing. Know that there is help there, right? Know that you're not alone. I mean, I've been through the depression and doctors looked at me and they're like, I have no clue what's wrong with you. And I'm literally thought I was losing my mind. And so that's why I want to say, like, you're not alone. If you feel that way, reach out to Miss Christina. She's phenomenal. Like, I love being able to work with her and impact lives every single day alongside of her. Know that there is a difference. There's a way that you can try something. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I can promise you, in 4.5 years of being here, I might have one or two people that ever returned anything because they feel different. And mental wellness is needed right now in the world more than ever. And we get that, which is why we've locked arms on this mission. So just know there's solutions, there's support, and it's not all your fault. If it's in your head, that means it's coming from your gut, and let's heal your gut and it will change your world.
Thank you so much for taking the time today, Miss Mandy. I appreciate you. And if this resonated with you at all, please feel free to reach out or put a comment below. And I'm more than happy to connect with you and see if we can help you too, because this is a game changer for your mental health. I have struggled for a long time with anxiety. I've struggled for a really long time with stress. And now I feel like I just get to enjoy life and enjoy my family and enjoy what I do for work. And none of that is there anymore. This like dark cloud that was hanging there is no longer there. So thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you. And we'll have you again another time, I'm sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Miss Christina. Thank you guys. Have a great one.
You bet. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to another inspiring episode of Freedom Motivated with your host, me, Christina Whiteley. We hope that the stories we've shared today have sparked a fire within you and ignited your passion for living life on your terms. Remember, true freedom lies in the choices we make and the actions we take. So go out there and embrace your journey. Take the leap of faith, believe in yourself, and never settle for less than what you deserve. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the Freedom Motivated podcast and never miss out on our upcoming interviews with more incredible entrepreneurs and freedom leaders. Be bold. Be brave, be disruptive. You are capable of things far beyond your wildest dreams if you just have the courage to go for it. Thank you for being a part of this incredible community. Until next time, may you always be driven by the desire for freedom and motivated to make your dreams a reality.